Hey, Adam here at Spherical. Just back from the Independent Lodging Congress in Brooklyn last week. Had a great time, met a lot of great people, saw a lot of our partners and a ton of people that I particularly admire in the industry through their work in a variety of areas, but of course, the majority in the luxury and lifestyle hotel space, the hoteliers themselves. And I think that they've done a great job at bringing together really the visionaries and thought leaders in the industry, and always really great to hear their perspective and learn from their perspective. So I thought I'd give you just a little recap of some of that and some quotes that I pulled from some of those talks and areas that I thought were particularly interesting and relevant. One of them, which I didn't associate to a person, but I pulled, was that the brands that I'm most inspired by are ones that have personalities behind them. And that's something that I've found that through the places I've been interested in working with, really all of them that I'm excited by have some kind of visionary personality behind them. And that was the case with a lot of the people speaking at the conference. So everyone from Brad Wilson, the CEO of Ace, Amar Lavani, the CEO of Standard, Kat Lowe, who's recently launched Eaton Workshop in DC and going globally, Ben Pundle from Edition and Stay Plastics Free and A Hotel Life that we've worked closely with, Josh Wyatt from Generator Hostels previously, Mark Harmon, the founder of Auberge Hotels, Christine McGran from Make Ready, and Bashar Walia from Provenance, and all really, in different areas of the space, I thought had really interesting things to say at the conference. And so I thought I'd just give you a little taste of some of that and go through my notes here, and maybe some of what they have to say is interesting and relevant to you as well. So one of the things from Brad Wilson from the Ace is that it's about designing experiences as much as it's about designing hotels, and talked a bit about this. Sometimes from a design perspective, designers will get overly particular about making the perfect design elements, and he said that oftentimes that when things are so perfect like that versus thinking about the experience, that often it leaves out the human element in design, and that you're in one of these perfect spaces and then you realize that you're the only thing that's making this design not perfect. And so designing for humanity and designing experiences, I thought that was really interesting. And talked a bit about trend setting, and was asked in terms of, hey, are you seeing, how do you feel when someone sort of copies your ideas or is inspired by your ideas and things like that, and certainly that's happened with Ace in a variety of ways. And he said that if you're alive, you'll continue to evolve, and you end up seeing caricatures of yourself. And so he was talking about how the things that he's doing now are not the things that people copied 10 years ago. And so that becomes interesting with trendsetters in the industry, that they continue to be original and do their own things that separate themselves, and that it's hard for others to replicate that true spirit of what they're creating. And so feel the same way there. And then also said, it quoted Alex Calderwood, the founder of Ace, saying, "Do what you love and the rest will follow." And that's definitely something that is true for really all of these people, and I admire that, and has definitely been true for us and the people that we work with and our team and all of that. And then Amar, from the CEO of Standard, said similarly, reiterating that point, create things that you really like. And that's how you build companies that have soul, and you can tell that there's personality and people behind them. So building off of those passions, he talked about not just the designs of the hotels, but where you choose to build hotels, that they're really focused on culturally relevant areas, and that the interplay of the hotel and the destination and what the hotel does for that neighborhood that they go into, and vice versa. And so finding interesting places to create hotels, I think that was really important. And then he talked a little bit just from an operations perspective that resonated with me on his role as a CEO of the company, and the elements of CEO and being a creative, but really more so he talked about the elements of his roles. His primary role is to create the space for his creatives to execute. And that's definitely something that's resonated with me in my work, is having a lot of great creatives that I'm sort of creating the environment that they can execute and still being the vision behind it. But it's as much about creating those opportunities for creativity and things like that. Ben Pundle, of course, had lots of great things to say, great partner of ours at Edition, and really admire his work that he's doing now with Stay Plastics Free, so talked quite a bit about that. But really, Edition is at a moment now of 6 openings over 10 months or something like that, all across the world, doing really exceptional things, and and talked a bit about that, what makes a great hotel, and so the magic of hotels is when you can make people feel like a better version of yourself, and I thought that was interesting, and saying that it's not just one thing, but a combination of everything that creates this alchemy. And when you walk through any of Ian Schrager's properties, and he continues to do it, everything from the lighting to sound to scent to ambiance to activations and all of it, there's certainly an alchemy that happens, and really interesting to see that happen at a global scale, and that's all happening right now, and Ben and team are deeply involved with that. He said, you're giving people what they want before they know they want it. And so I thought that was really cool. And then talked a bit about that he was recognized for Stay Plastics Free, which we've helped support doing a website for, and definitely have a lot of interest in the ecologically conscious elements of hospitality and the potentials there, and so really great to hear him speak on all of that, and then segued into Kat Lowe of Eaton Workshop, who's doing really something that feels different than others have done with Eaton Workshop, which she comes from a background of being a filmmaker and activist, but also from the Langham Hotel family, and just a really interesting, strong perspective, bold perspective with what she's doing with Eaton Workshop. She talked about the hotel being a Trojan horse for bigger things, and I really liked that. She talked about, she said, we believe in the power of business to change the world, which I think is really an important and powerful statement, that not just nonprofits, but how does business pull people together in interesting ways, and talked about their values of people, planet, and profit rather than just profit, and so I really respect how bold that she's being there, and said that she's created a collection of people that are reimagining what radical design for a better world will look like. She also talked about how she's hired about half people from the industry and half people not from the industry, which is also standard. Denise talked about that, and I think that's relevant of bringing together different personalities and viewpoints and culminating there. So, and talked about you can tell when something is lovingly created by a group of individuals versus by a corporation, and you can definitely see that spirit in what she's doing there, but also will very much be a global footprint, so it's not just a small one-off, but really has a vision of a global play with that. And then just a couple more, but you can tell a bunch of interesting things that I was happy to hear from people that I admire in the space. Mark Harmon, the founder of Auberge, speaking to you have to have a vision of what you're trying to do and stick with it. What you'll realize is there's actually a tremendous amount of depth. And he's been at building Auberge for decades and done an incredible job, and definitely having a vision and sticking to it, but then also within this industry and hotels, there's so many different nuances to it, and complexities of the real estate side and the finance side and the creative side and design and marketing and people and all of it. There's a lot of depth, which he spoke to. So yeah, hope that was interesting and relevant, and stay tuned for more. Adam and Spherical, cheers.